Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Playbook for Performance podcast. I'm your host, Shauna Corden. My mission is to make work fun again by building better leaders. Now, I've had an additional mission this year. I've been writing a book about polarization and how challenging it is for all of us. And this month, in our podcast on our YouTube channel, we are talking about why this is so important to us, why we're on a mission to prevent it. And today, specifically, we're going to be talking about the scary outcomes in the gist of Halloween. The scary outcomes of a polarized society. So, let's get started. So, what's so scary about it? Well, all humans have a need for certainty. They also have a need for novelty. But when we are in a polarized society, we are requiring that things be certain. And so that reduces the tolerance for novelty, for surprises, for things that are different. And things get pretty boring when everything's predictable and certain. Number two, we only have room for the like-minded. So our circles get smaller and smaller. So if you're not vegan, into vinyl, drive an electric car, and love cats, you can't be my friend. And maybe not my colleague or my customer. So that's what happens when we get super polarized. Obviously, this is an extreme example, but you get my point. At first, it was, hey, we're parents of school-age children. And then it was, oh, do you vote the way I do? Oh, do you feel the same way about pandemic issues that I do? Oh, do you feel this way about certain political issues that I do? And pretty soon, everybody in your group thinks exactly like you do. Can it be more boring? Don't forget, the last couple of years, we've been talking more and more about diversity and inclusion. Well, what's the purpose of diversity and inclusion? Are we really looking for a color palette? No, that's not the point of it. The reason that we want to bring that in is because there's different perspectives, different ideas, different approaches. We want diverse thinking, and that's what's super important. And the more that we get polarized, the less diverse we are, not more diverse. That's what's really scary about it. So you're going to see these circles get smaller and smaller, and no one will have a contrary opinion. So what happens when we don't have contrary opinions? We lose critical thinking skills. We're not able to analyze situations for what is really true and what really affects situations, what's causation, what's correlation. We really need to keep our critical thinking and problem-solving skills sharp. Number 6 on the list, intolerance for discomfort. Whenever we're learning something new, we are uncomfortable. We naturally suck at something when we are starting it, okay? And the more that we are uncomfortable and we eliminate the ability or option of being uncomfortable, we won't learn. And so anything that we're not an expert at the first time we try it gets eliminated. Any subject matter that we really have to struggle to understand, we eliminate it. If someone is going to talk about a topic that I might agree with, but they also have an opinion I don't agree with, we eliminate them. So this is where cancel culture comes in full speed ahead. It's the discomfort. And when we get into that discomfort, we are distancing ourselves from others. We create a they. We dehumanize them. And we seek to eliminate them. And it's quite scary. When we lose our ability to practice thinking skills, and if we refuse to be uncomfortable, then we become weak. Our skills atrophy. So one of the analogies I use over and over again is that when I am working with teams, I want to amplify their strengths and I want to minimize their weaknesses. I'm not trying to make their weakness a strength. That's a waste of time. I just want to make it so it doesn't drag them behind or be their Achilles heel. And the reason that I really want to focus on their strength is because that's what makes them an all-star. But if I took 5 great basketball players and they all had different strengths, but then I said, hey, you guys are weak in these other areas. Oh, that, by the way, happen to be each other's strengths. And I said, you need to work on them till they're at this level. Then you would have a homogenized team, and nobody would really be great at anything anymore because they've used all their energy and time developing weakness. We don't want that. We really want people to be all-stars. But you have to be able to work with discomfort in order to do that, and you have to use critical thinking skills. And if we don't do that, we atrophy. That's what happens. Number 8, when we are polarized, when we create these little pods of certainty that are only formed of like-minded people, we don't grow. We only stick with what's comfortable, right? And just like muscles, you have to stress them in order for them to grow. If you don't challenge them, they won't grow. And so we won't progress in a workplace, in a business, as a society, if no one's growing. Number 9, rigidity and intolerance, right? This whole idea of you must think like me, you must be like me, or you are not part of my circle. Guess what? That creates the police state. Does that sound like anything you're familiar with? Like, oh, maybe the Nazis? So, really pay attention to this. I'm trying not to confabulate, but this is what happens if polarization continues. And right now, most people in my interviews have said, I'm not really into reconciling. The few people who have said, I'm willing to reconcile, have tremendous family peer pressure to resolve the difference between the two of them. But in workplaces and things like that, people are like, nah, I'm good. I don't really need to do it. And what happens is our HR communities, etc., have to turn it into a performance issue. When people don't communicate, when they don't use teamwork, that is a performance management issue, and you can be terminated for that. And so people need to stop thinking it's okay to be so polarized and that they're in their little cubicle of their safe space doing what they want, because no one will grow and we're going to end up in a really bad space. So that's my scary podcast for our Halloween themed area. Again, this is why this topic is so near and dear to me. I don't want to see us go to this space. And that's why I've been working on the book this year. And it's coming. So what's your field work? You're like, oh, what's your field work? Spread the word, please. If you're like me and you fear these effects of polarization, please spread the word and socialize the need to grow our skills of prevention. As I said, people aren't really interested in reconciling. They're Taylor Swift. We are never, ever, ever getting back together. And so we have to apply the skills of prevention. In this case, that ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure is completely true. So what do you need to be able to socialize this? I am here to speak to your organization, your team, your work group. You can book a lunch and learn. Just click below my email, shauna@shaunacorden.com. We can do a workshop for your team. And of course, the book coming out at year end, we're happy to talk about the book, host book groups, whatever it is, but spread the word. So, thank you. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share this with your friends. If you're listening to the podcast, you can catch us out on the YouTube channel of Shauna Corden. If you're watching this on YouTube, know that you can also get this on the go through any podcast platform. Again, comments below. If you need help, just send a message, podcast@shaunacorden.com. Until next time, take good care.